to Mr. Joel Davis. So Mr. Joel Davis, let me move over some of these slides, my boys. Mr. Joel Davis brought us the Green Tide. And I know people were a little down and out because they've been nuked. And then the way you see it is you need a lot of boys. It's hard to do. It's a skew. Yes, but keep in mind that there's always a place for skews in the meta when the skew hard counters what the meta is. And in Joel Davis's case, he understood that the meta was vehicle heavy, elite infantry heavy. So he decided to tuck back into the Green Tide. And so for Joel Davis, he was over here at the Denver 40K Fight Club. He ended up getting first place here. As you can see, our boy Mr. Michael Mann right here in the second place. Like I said, he's going to be a guest with us on Friday, so check that out. But we're talking about Joel today, and Mr. Joel surprised everybody, I'm sure, with this in a way that they were like, dang, man, I'm so equipped to just kick the heck out of something. And instead I got the boys. But he did tighten, cut off some fat, trim some fat that were the boys. And he went a little bit more DACA heavy. So we have a boss Necron. You do need that, right? You do need some kind of individual character or tech piece to score secondaries innately. Now, the reason why Snickron's cool is because there are armies that just have just enough indirect to kill your Storm Boy. Something that you would use instead. Snickron can do it with almost no reprisal unless the enemy has like 6-inch deep strike and can hunt him down, which is kind of his counter, right? Which everything is a counter 40k, so still awesome piece. We have Ghazghkull Thraka. Ghazghkull Thraka wasn't brought in the initial Green Tide, but I actually did like him. You need something that can gain a little bit of respect from the enemy, and it also increases your potency of your boys when it is that go time on the wall, because there are things in the game that can simply beat the crap out of you if you just run into them and say, I'm just going to stand here, especially because we can't do secondaries by just standing stuck in with people anymore. So now you need to be able to at least handicap enemy units enough that you can continue to beat them on the rate of attrition. So then you have, of course, the 3 big bricks of boys are all identical. They are Warboss, Painboy, 20 boys. Bam. I'm on board with that. I don't think you need to go much higher than that, because if people are going to get Call the Horde, they need to just straight up focus on these couple kill units. You could be inclined to bring a Zod, but just nonetheless to say this is what everybody's kind of more teching into, and I respect it and I understand it, because you are countering with tools that are better for a vehicle heavy elite infantry, meta. So you do need some respect, which is why he has gas and why he's only keeping the durable units, killer units of boys. But he does bring a weird boy with a 10-man unit of boys for that scoring potential. You can do of course you can do secondaries with it, but a lot of the time people like to use it for secret missions. I think it's cool for just simply sticking objectives and then jumping to another one and sticking it. So you do your home, then your natural expansion, while your boys go over and take over the mid table and the enemy's natural expansion to really try to throw off their primary if you can. We have 2 trucks, and that's because we have 2 10-man units of Flash Gitz on this. So another thing people say is that they hate that you could just simply screen out big bricks of boys. And so there's a lot of time that Flash Gitz have been making their appearance more and more in this. So we don't see the full 30, but I think 20 is a great idea. Obviously, his results speak for themselves, as you do need to at least be able to, 1, pick up enemies' garbage little T3 screens of 10 models sometimes. 2, you need to damage people before they get into your boys sometimes. And 3, they're not that crappy. They're not that easy to push over the Flash Gitz themselves with the 4-up armor saves and having 2 wounds a pop. They don't require character support in that case either. They don't give up Call the Horde, and they can actually get the initiative and take advantage of trucks, which are one of our best units. We have 1 Grot unit and then simply 2 Mega Nods with 10 kill saws. In my opinion, he goes to 10 kill saws because he is especially expecting to use gas into enemies that have a 2-up armor save and require him to have that -3 AP. My assumption, just because that's exactly how I was using him and I felt the difference and it was really important. So shout out to our sponsors, the Baron of Dice, as they helped us do our Waaaghtaktiks dice. So shout them out. Check them out in the description, 5% off in the discount, because nobody likes taxes. And shout out to Baron of Dice. They allow us to do our paint competition. So thank you very much to them. Joel's path to victory. So keep in mind, we'll keep tipping into his list as we go through this. So we have Chaos Demons. This is Legions of Access. So right off the bat, this is what people are considering the most competitive detachment for demons, which is the Slanesh, mono Slanesh detachment. We have Be'lakor, the Mask of Slanesh, Keeper of Secrets, 3 of them. 1 of them has the enhancements for Soul Glutton. Then we have 3 units of Demonettes and then 1 unit of Fiends. So this is what I think was the first iteration of what people were thinking would be great for the meta, knowing it's a shooting meta, but with just how fast these guys are, I can expect in the future, if you're seeing this detachment, they won't have Be'lakor. Shout out to Kevin. So If they do, a lot of the time they're going to have more fiends. And the reason they're going to have more fiends is because there's a stratagem in this detachment that allows you to, essentially bleed off wounds that are focused on one of your unit of fiends into these demonettes. So you could take, a demonette with one of their characters, which is usually like a chariot or something. I don't know what a chariot is. It's the Mask of Slanesh, I think. If they choose to do this, you could take a demonette or with their character, put them next to a fiend unit. Fiend unit is exposed, about to take damage. When you focus on them, you use a stratagem, and then they bleed the damage over to the demonettes, and then the fiends are still more alive. So very fast. This whole detachment is, and really good at killing. So you're gonna see it, but it is not ready for the Green Tide, because there's one thing the Green Tide can do. They can soak some of these demonettes, punching them, or especially the Keeper of Secrets, keeping them. And when you have those flashy of the Gitz, it means you're fine at shooting at fiends and shooting at demonettes themselves. Even if they bleed the wounds over, you're like, cool, I'm 2 damage. I'll take that. I don't mind. I'm winning you on 2s. If you're the demonettes, if you're the fiends, I'm winning you on 3s. You're 4 wounds. I'm 2 damage. Let's get it. So that ends up playing into your favor. Having Gaz means that if the greater keepers do get stuck in a unit of Boyz or end up charging something that they don't find ideal, then Gaz can actually countercharge or just take advantage of his lethal in that case. And that's why, like I said, Gaz becomes that interesting tech piece, because if not, what are you going to do when these kind of units can just stay stuck in combat and eventually over time chew up all your boys, feel no pains or not, right? So in this case, your Boyz ends up soaking some of the damage, and then your other units of Boyz kind of gang up on it. Love to see that. And keep in mind that you might see that stuff more prominently, and if you do, they're going to have more fiends. So the Flash Gitz will still feel like a great tech piece, in my opinion. Then we move on to the second matchup. Oh, let me see actually his points, because I'm interested to see 99 points on that one. Yeah, let's go. You get. Then he goes, can you do a mech green tide? A mech or green tide? No, I don't think that's a thing. I'm not sure. Not sure. Maybe after stream I have to think about it a little longer. So then we have his second matchup was Death Guard Plague Company. Ooh, okay. And he called it the big boys. So let's see what's up. We have a Death Guard Terminator Sorcerer, very common tech piece for that reduction of damage. We have a Lord of Virulence, which is, this guy for his Peg Spewer is usually pretty potent into orcs and orc boys. Mortadion for ignoring modifiers, of course, and then Typhus for throwing mortal wounds and maybe leading poxwalkers. We have 2 units of cultists, followed by 3 units of Death Shroud Terminators. One's a 3-man unit, and then 2 of them are the full 6-man units. These guys are potent into orcs, as they do have anti-infantry pistols on their gauntlets, and then they also have the ability to do sweep attacks. So we don't necessarily love them, but they also don't have Armor of Contempt. So we have 2 units of bloat drones. This is really how they like to split the contagion and play the game early. One war boss on the wall can chew one of these guys up, so they're not that durable. But other than that, they're everywhere, packing contagion. 2 units of Nurglings for that infiltration. In mind, they might use it for the -1 to hit aura and really try to double stack that on you with the contagion. But sometimes people just throw these away. It really just comes down to how skilled the character is. Again, like I said, you're gonna be glad you have Flash Gitz, because if these guys chose to just put them behind the Death Shroud and walk towards you, and you didn't have Flash Gitz, you couldn't do anything about it. These guys can't move through building like ruined walls. Their Nurglings can't, so that's where Flash Gitz can actually take advantage of them. We have Waaaghtaktiks and then 2 units of Brigands. Brigands are common because they'll still be happy that someone gets in contagion range, and they are pretty self-sufficient. Waaaghtaktiks, because he cuts OC on enemies that get within range of him. So he's pretty common in this detachment too. So he does matter into Orc Boys, because if Waaaghtaktiks gets close to Orc Boys, he cuts their OC to 1. I don't think that's enough to swing it, because he only has cultists that have OC in this. But nonetheless, quite potent yet again. Like I said, if you didn't have something like a gas to hold the line and punch people off you, you would have a hard time dealing with this. As I've done this similar matchup, and with or without gas means these guys will constantly keep chipping away at you after you don't really finish the unit off outside of the wall. And then you're kind of just stuck high and dry, because they run around killing your scoring units while you're stuck just holding combat with one of their big durable Morty or a couple units of Death Shroud. But Gaz makes it so you can actually punch through the Death Shroud. Not always likely, but it can happen, and you're still beating them on primary. So love to see that he ended up doing that as well. Mr. Joel Davis with a 96-point win, pulling it out again on them. Then we move on to his third game. where he had the Jeanstealer Cultist. Oh, so everybody's all hyped up on Jeanstealers right now. This is the Enraptured Damnation. So I think this is that again, the Grotmus detachment where they can mix demons, Tyrannid, lone ops, and certain models and units in their detachment with the Jeanstealers. So we have a Death Leaper, 2 Benefactus, 2 Biophages, and then a Locust. We have only 2 10-man bricks of the auto pistols, followed by 2 5-man units of the hand flamers, 3 by 10 gargoyles. Ooh, talking about move blocking you get. You know what I'm saying? You guys know. So gargoyles, they can move obviously because they fly, little boogie boys. Once they shoot, they have actually assault, so they can actually move again via their data sheet ability. So keep in mind, move 12 inches, they have assault, so they could advance on that. So 12 d6 movement, and then they shoot, then they get to move again. Even if one little git can shoot one little thing, they're moved. So really good for move blocking, especially into orcs. If you didn't have Flash Gitz, you'd have to start constantly charging these guys. And you could pull off a cheeky Overwatch if they moved preemptively in front of your Flash Gitz and you were standing out in the open for some reason. They're 2 OC each. Something to keep in mind too. We have 1 unit of Metaforce with hand flamers, a pure stain unit of Jeanstealers, 2 by 2 Achilles Ridge Runners, and then an individual Ridge Runners. This is like most of their shooting alongside the 2 individual Goliath Rock Grinders. Not that potent. They do have like I think it's crossfire stratagem. Oh, maybe not in this detachment actually. So nonetheless, I would say that's one thing that's missing is this isn't the most potent in shooting. And this seems to be relying a lot on the Tyrannids kind of holding the line, playing the game early, and then allowing you to regen guys back into the army. Not sure if that works for Green Tide because once you crash into them, you'll just keep chewing up board space. And it looks like he kind of did that with a 92-point win. Jeanstealers can be potent. They can, the GSC, the cultists can be potent, but I think orcs are just one of those armies that are like, even if you diminish me a little bit, I'm going to punch right through your unit, take up this space, occupy the board, you come back down, you hit me again, I'm going to eat that too. Still my leftover units to beat the crap out of you. And yeah, I love it. So then we move on to his 4th game. We have Necrons. This is Scatter Star or Star Shatter. Sorry, Arsenal. I don't know why I said that. Again, these guys have been hit with a nerf from the data slate changes, so their stratagems cost more, and I don't think you'll see a Silent King on this one. But in this list, they didn't have the Silent King already. So we have Emotech the Stormlord, a Catacomb Command Barge, followed by Hexmark Destroyer, Locust Lord, a 10-man unit of Warriors, 2 5-man units of Flayed Ones, 3 of the 2 by 3 Ophidian Destroyers, no 3 by 3 Ophidian Destroyers, followed by 1 Scorpec Destroyer, a Locust Destroyer, and then a 6-man unit, and then a 3-man unit of Heavy Locust Destroyers, followed by 3 Doomsday Arcs and a Ghost Arc. Woo! My boy was thinking outside the box. I can see this being kind of an interesting, versatile tech to go into. Since you're not going to have the Silent King as much anymore, you do want something that can start to play the game earlier and move around the field, trying to draw out people so you can shoot the heck out of them with your boats and stuff like that. So this might be the future, not necessarily, sir, because that is a new archetype that I haven't seen. But I would say that from what I do know about the Ophidian Destroyers, they hit, but they don't hit that hard. And none of these units are big one-shotting activation units, which means if they do charge into Orc Boys, simply interrupt. You're murking them with your boys, your even your weird boy punches and your knob punches on the wall. Absolutely blending these guys. Don't have good defensive buffs. Rerolling wounds into them would be devastating and kill multiple of these units if they charged you all at once. Yeah, and even the Doomsday Arcs don't kill boys necessarily great if you just have Feel No Pains, which they do. So yeah, awesome. I think that, as you know, Green Tide, these people just don't really have tools to choose all the way through Green Tide. You can see he had 80 points here because I'm sure he did get charged into, pushed back a little bit, and had to punch his way out of it. But it doesn't. I don't think it was like a winning recipe. It might have been Purge the Foe or something to help, offset the score. Not necessarily sure, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was his hardest game. Not really seeing it though in that variation of Scatterstar, but our boy was brilliant to tech into Green Tide going into this meta. Then he go into his 5th game. So his 5th game, he has the Grey Knights. Make sure. So he has the Grey Knights. This is a Warp Bane Task Force. Again, the new detachment. Looking to do Mortal Wound heavy and get the initiative, really beat the crap out of you. So we have a Brother Captain Stern, followed by Brother Chaplain, Castle and Crow for those +3 to his charges, I believe, comes out of Deep Strike. Only 1 Grandmaster. Oh no, Drago does that. Drago does the +3 into your charges. And then 1 Grandmaster, Nemesis Dread Knight. Castle and Crow is, I think, shooting buffs. So we have a big brick of Terminators, followed by 1 5-man unit of Strike Force Terminators. We have the Strike Squad, followed by a Razorback, okay, and then a Rhino. A big Purifier Squad, that's for Castle and Crow. I believe he gives them +1 to hit and another shot. I'm pretty sure on their side weapons. Then you wait, what's that? Fly Flamer or something like that. Purifying Flame, something like that. Then you have a 5-man units of Flamers, followed by a Cladius Assassin. From what I've experienced with these guys as well, is they just come down, they try to hammer you with the initiative and do a ton of damage to cripple your army. If that doesn't work out for them, then they simply get beat up because they don't have the reactionary move, they don't have the Mist of Deimos, they don't have any of that jinky stuff that they do in the other detachment, which means once they just get off that damage on you, they are there to take the clap back. And surely they end up doing that. Because they understand as Grey Knight players is that they cannot let you just sit there and throw them back on scoring constantly. They have to come down, and that's how their whole army works. So they really don't have any other option than to come out and just meet you. You can try to mitigate it by throwing like trucks out, I guess, to stop Drago from hitting you. Storm Boys maybe, Grotz. If you have, but he only has 1 unit Grouch here, so he can't even do that. So you could end up using your Flash Gitz a little bit as kind of like first wave so that you don't lose your mobs early. As your Flash Gitz aren't that useful in this matchup, as all these guys have a 2-up armor save. Every single unit in this matchup has an armor save of a 2-up, covers everywhere. So your Flash Gitz aren't really going to go off. They're going to pop lethal, into a strike squad just to kill it, and then be happy that they kill a couple things here and there. 5-man unit Purifiers, they're happy to do it. After that, they get the initiative taken on them. The trucks get deleted, the Flash gets deleted, and then your Boyz and Gaz can hopefully run through and kind of swing the game from there. Not necessarily sure, but that's how their detachment works. They just jump down, get the initiative, you beat the crap out of you. Everyone's led by a character. So great job there. Mr. Joel with a 90-point win right there. So right here, he's cooking 90, 99, 96, 99, 96, 92, 80, 90. And then for his last game 6, he goes into the Dracari. So this guy, how do you even get Nicholas? Okay, nice job, Nicholas. Just getting this far with Aldati and Drakari mix. All right, so we have 2 Archons, and then 2 Beastmasters, followed by a Trope Master. I've showed these guys a bunch of times on the channel. These Beastmasters catch people off guard. They have, I think, 7 models in their unit. They move 10. They scout 9, I believe. Some guys have 2 wounds. Some of you guys have 3. I think one has 4. Really good at just blocking you in your own deployment zone. So that's a big factor when they could just run up on you and entrap, almost wolf gel type other people's armies that they don't have infiltrate. Then we have a unit of Cabalite Warriors, 2 of those. 2 Court of the Archons, 2 5-man units of Mandrakes. This is their infiltration again. There's their scoring. They can go up you down you like Space Marine Scouts. And then 2 units of Scourges for their anti-tank. They fire and fade. They shoot and then they move away. Followed by 1 trope for that character that we had of the Harley Quinns. Pretty cool. 3 individual Chronos, and then a 2x2 Talos, and a Void Raven Bomber. So orcs can't really do anything about Void Raven Bomber, but I'll tell you what, they don't like to just land anywhere when there's just boy mobs everywhere on the field. There aren't as many in this detachment, so they will find places in the back line. It does make things a little more complicated for you to hold your back line in a sense, even though you can sticky it, because they can just drop down and just shoot that Gretchen away. And then get your weird boy with the Void Raven Bomber. You do have Snake Rod at least. The hope is just stay out of that. These Chronos are pretty cool, individual characters for that case too. But all in all, one thing that these guys do run out of is it sounds weird, but they do have a little bit of a killing potential problem. They do have the ability, but because they don't have a bunch of rerolls innately, and their units are all made of glass, you have Flash Gitz in this matchup again. Flash is coming in clutch because if any of these units are exploded, they're deleting them. Did they have their transports? They don't even have that many transports. They have like no transports in this one. They traded out all their transports for just like Chronos and stuff. Really interesting tech. Can't say I know too much about it. Only a handful of reps into Dark Eldar anyways. But what I can say is they're absolutely soft as glass cannons. Once they go into, they're gone. And all it takes is one of the boy units to interrupt after getting charged by multiple of these guys. They get picked up. They're constantly scoring primary, and they're just keeping those dudes back in their own deployment zone. I love it. And in this case, my boy loved it too because he got a 95-point win into that Drakari matchup. So shout out to Mr. Joel Davis and his Green Tide. So let's go over his list one more time. We have Boss Snikra because you absolutely need him to help you score secondaries since you can't do fixed. You can't score a secondary. Well, you can't do fixes easily by doing the old-fashioned Green Tide of doing cleanse and some kind of deploy and staying in combat with pistols and doing secondaries. Can't do that anymore. Therefore, you absolutely need stuff like Boss Snikra and the individual Weird Boy. Ghazghkull Thraka because the meta is absolutely killy and durable. Your boys can't sit there just take a pounding from units that can fall back and shoot or fall back and charge constantly. Therefore, they act a little bit as a net, and then Gaz allows you and whatever remaining mobs to gang up on that unit and delete it. So take advantage of that. The 2x10 Flash Gitz, great tech piece as well. Like I said, we've seen several armies on this table that were running 10-man units of T3 units. And of course, Flash Gitz do great into deleting those, whether it's with the wall and fighting or just shooting with their volume of attacks. And they give you the ability to pick up these screens, something like a Nurgling unit that gives an aura of -1 to hit. You absolutely love them for their versatility and the shooting that they bring you just enough so that they can help you interact with other units in the game. That's the biggest feedback I've heard all in all from Green Tide for the entire edition is that when you add a little bit of shooting, it gives you way more options on turns when people are actually really good at movement shenanigans. So great job by Mr. Joel Davis. Love the Gaz inclusion and love the Weird Boy tech for that secondary and possible secret mission scoring. Whoa to Mr. Joel Davis with the true Green Tide. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!